All right, hello there, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, you guys see the title, you see the thumbnail. We are going to be talking about the biggest takeaways from week 6, everything that you might have missed from any game. Of course, we cover all of it. Now let's get straight to it. Game number 1 on Thursday night, 49ers Seahawks. Not much to talk about here other than the defense of the Seahawks has been atrocious. 49ers offense has been moving, but looking a little sketchy late in games for sure. It seems like they're not putting away their opponents like they did last year, kind of letting them hang around, stick around, and it's a little bit worrisome. Also, Jordan Mason getting hurt was obviously a big deal, but we'll see how that affects him in the long term. Seahawks having to pass the ball way too much. I think Geno Smith had like 50 passing attempts or something crazy like that. Geno Smith had 40 attempts against the Giants, 50 attempts against the Niners. Not what you want to see out of any offense, obviously, especially when you're only putting up 24 points to have that total. Going into the next game, we have Jaguars and Bears. This was a London game, so if you are on the West Coast, like me, of course, 6:30 a.m. was the time I had to get up for this game. I actually got up at 6:45 because I was a little bit tired. Did end up watching this one, and I gotta say, Caleb Williams looks so much better. Jaguars defense has been atrocious. Jaguars offense has been all over the place. It's been a big disappointing season so far for the Jaguars, but the biggest takeaway for this game is Caleb Williams, 4 passing touchdowns. DeAndre Swift controlling the backfield, looking so much better early on. Keenan Allen, 2 receiving touchdowns. Cole Kmet, 2 receiving touchdowns. All in all, everything is just going right for the Bears heading into this bye week. Buccaneers Saints. This one was a thriller in the beginning, but then the Buccaneers just pulled away 51-27. The Saints defense had 0 answers for this Buccaneers O. 0 answers, whether it was on the run game, the pass game. Baker Mayfield just playing really well. It was really bad from the Saints defense. I will say this though, Baker Mayfield did have 3 interceptions, but when you allow 51 points, there's just really no excuse. Going into the next game, we have Commanders and Ravens. This one was a solid game, but the Commanders just aren't as good as the Ravens, both on the offensive and defensive side. Lamar Jackson was just having his way. Zay Flowers was having an insane first half, 130 yards in the first half, 9 catches in the first half. He did nothing else though in the second half, but the Ravens' run game was going, and they didn't really need to throw the ball too much. Derrick Henry, 132 rushing yards. Lamar Jackson tacking on 40 rushing yards. Just an absolute stellar offensive performance from the Ravens, and their defense holding the Commanders to 23 is an accomplishment. Cardinals and Packers, I mean, this is one of those games to where you know going into it, Jordan Love's going to have a day, and then you finish it and you're just not surprised by his total. 4 passing touchdowns from Jordan Love. This Cardinals team is just evidently at this point not a threat. They're not good. They might win, 6, 7 at the most, and I think this is at the most 8 games. The reason why is their defense is just not good enough. Not only that, their offense, I think the biggest problem is they don't really have that guy as a receiver. We think Marvin Harrison Jr. filled the role immediately, but here's the thing. It hasn't happened this far. Greg Dortch has been a disappointment this season. Michael Wilson is not the answer. Trey McBride has had a up and down season. It's just weird to really have to witness all of this. And, unfortunately for Marvin Harrison Jr., he had 0 receiving yards this game, but that's because he got hurt. So we'll see how things go for the Cardinals. They need work on both sides of the ball. Packers end up dominating this one. Colts and Titans was a close game, but these are 2 very unserious teams. The Colts having a major quarterback dilemma with Anthony Richardson just not looking the part yet. Joe Flacco has started his 2nd game in a row though because Anthony Richardson is hurt. Solid to an extent, I would say he's a solid backup. He's a really solid backup. And he did his job, put his team in a position to win. But the Titans' offense is just so egregious. Will Levis is just he's not good. And I'll hold the L on that one. I thought he'd be much better heading into the season. But no, he's not good. Calvin Ridley, 8 targets, keyword targets, but not all of those were catchable. A lot of them were not catchable. It was insane. Just really, really, really bad football, in my opinion. And I think most people would agree with me by watching this game. Texans and Patriots, even without Nico Collins, Texans put up 41 freaking points. Tank Dell looking solid. Stephon Diggs looking solid. Joe Mixon, 102 rushing yards and a touchdown. CJ Stroud didn't even need to throw the ball a lot. Only 192 passing yards, but 3 touchdowns. Just a dominating effort. Drake May, showing some signs of, of some serious potential. Showing flashes of, okay, this guy has something. He made a great throw. I think it was to Demario Douglas, But he made a great throw for a long touchdown. It was just a dime. And I thought, okay, you know what? A lot of mistakes in this game. A lot. And there's not a lot of offensive weapons. But he's showing flashes of something. So that's something to monitor moving forward. Eagles and Browns. It's surprising that the Browns are within 4 points when their offense is just so god-awful. And if you guys want to know a fun stat, through 6 games of the regular season, the Browns have not scored 20 points or more. Their highest point total of the season was 18. 18 points against the god-awful defense of the Jaguars. And if you guys want to look at the Jaguars and see how bad they are on defense, let me help you out. So the Jaguars are 30th in total yards. They're allowing 404 total yards a game. They are the worst passing defense in all of football. They're allowing the second most points in all of the NFL. Their third down conversion percentage on defense is bottom 8 in the entire NFL. This defense is the definition of god-awful. And the Browns' season high was against them at only 18 points. And the sad part is, if you actually even look at that game, 2 of those points came from a safety. So their offense put up 16 points against this god-awful defense. Deshaun Watson, only 186 passing yards. It's a bad time to be a Browns fan. Chargers and Broncos, this was a very boring game, to be honest with you. I don't think these teams are going to be competitive when it's all said and done. I mean, your best bet between the two is the Chargers doing anything, but it's just a massive lack of offensive weapons. And from the Broncos, quarterback play isn't great. 19 for 33, 216 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick from Bo Nix. Running game isn't great. Receiving threats aren't great. This Broncos team is just not competitive. I mean, their defense is going to keep them in games for sure, but yeah, it's just bad. We scored 0 points in the first 3 quarters. And from the Chargers, well, they have no legitimate receiving threat. Their running game is, something they're leaning on, but you got to be able to do both to compete, in all seriousness, and the Chargers don't have that at all. Steelers and Raiders, the interesting one from this is the Steelers win 32-13, and everything was going right for them defensively. You must think, 32 points. Justin Fields must have had a day. He only had 145 passing yards, which is a massive letdown, and that's been Justin Fields really all throughout the season. He just misses throws, he misses players, and he adds running to his arsenal, which is important, obviously, but Steelers have been good largely because of their defense. What's the Steelers passing yards total? Where do they rank on this? I gotta find out right now, because there's no way it's good. So the Steelers are 28th in the NFL in passing yards. Obviously that's terrible. 166 passing yards per game. That's awful. Justin Fields only has 86 more passing yards than the all-terrible Deshaun Watson. There is nothing good about their passing game. So Russell Wilson is getting first-team reps this week. That doesn't mean he's necessarily going to start, but if he's getting first-team reps, obviously they're thinking about heavily going that direction, which I think would be a good thing. There's Steelers fans who are like, no, why would we mess up what's not broken? It's not about, we're this record, so let's not change anything. No, it's about we're 28th in passing yards as a team. In the entire NFL, Justin Fields literally only has 86 more passing yards than Deshaun Watson. It's bad. It's bad. Their passing offense is egregious. Falcons and Panthers. Falcons just look so much better. Kirk Cousins just looks so much better. Their defense played really solid. Not a whole lot to say here other than the Falcons are in a bit of a groove, if you ask me. Deshaun Robinson, with 2 rushing touchdowns, and Kirk Cousins with 225 passing yards. Nothing crazy there, but their defense did an exceptional job. And moving forward to the Lions and Cowboys, I already dedicated an entire video to this, so I'm not going to waste your guys' time with this. If you want to know my thoughts on this game, I dedicated an entire video to this yesterday. Feel free to watch it. You'll hear all my thoughts and more. Bengals and Giants, 17-7 was the score. Bengals win, of course. Very boring game, to be honest with you. The Giants are just a very unserious team. I've said this for quite a while now, that Daniel Jones has never, ever been the answer for this team. And the only reason why this team is even going to be a threat in any game is because of Malik Nabers and some of the, the defensive plays that they can make. But Malik Nabers has been out 2 games now, and 7 points. 7 freaking points against the Bengals. And their defense isn't great either. Wow. Anyway, Bills and Jets, 23-20. Bills come out on top in what was a really close game, and the Jets had every opportunity to win this one. Greg Zuerlein missing 2 key field goals in the 4th quarter. Absolutely letting down his team. Mike Williams, according to Aaron Rodgers, ran the wrong route that led to the interception at the end of the game. And then the Bills get a first down to secure the game. What I will say is both of these teams made big splashes this morning. Jets trade for Davante Adams. Shocker. Davante Adams goes back to Aaron Rodgers, and we'll see how that goes. They're 2-4. The Bills, out of nowhere, get Amari Cooper. Now that is interesting. That, to me, is what this team desperately needed. I've said several times now, you cannot be an elite team. You can beat solid teams. You can be what appears to be a good team, but you cannot be an elite team without a number 1 receiver. You need a number 1 receiver. It just has to happen. Somebody has to be capable of elevating your passing game. Whenever you need a play, you throw it to that guy. And the Bills adding Amari Cooper is a huge deal. They needed that. Even if he's not what he once was, even if he's just a receiver 2, in theory, that would help this team because they have Mac Hollins playing like he's the receiver 1. That's just, when in reality he's not even a lot of teams' top 3 receiving threats. So the Bills needed this, to say the least, and huge addition for both the Jets and the Bills. The Raiders finally let go of that Davante Adams and the drama, and good for them. But the Jets are 2-4, so they're going to need a massive turnaround. And Mike Williams is on the trade market now. It's a cruel world. You go there looking to, be something, and stuff happens, unfortunately. And I'm more impressed though with the Bills because they're a team that, like I said, you can be a good team. You can appear to be a good team, but to be an elite team, you need a receiver 1. Even if Amari Cooper doesn't play like a receiver 1, he plays like a receiver 2. This goes a long way to helping out. That is your weekly wrap up. Hopefully I didn't miss anything too important. Also, I will say this. I greatly appreciate you guys for tuning into these. It means a lot to me to be able to work and, people watch your work. That's all I can ask for. As always, I greatly appreciate you guys for watching. This is All Even Different. And we out.